Welcome to the Architecture ArchReach course. The goal of this course is to give you a holistic overview and introduction to architecture and hopefully inspire you to pursue architecture as a career. We'll start by thinking abstractly, and that will hopefully inform a better definition of what architecture is. So our leading question is, what is architecture? And architecture is so interdisciplinary that it's quite difficult to pinpoint its definition in one sentence. So that's why we're going to approach it from many different angles to, at the end of the module, give you a better definition of what architecture is. The first way I want to present architecture to you is architecture as the movement and events of people. And this is famously the notion of Bernard Sumi. And if we look at these two images, so the first one here is one space, and you might notice that there are no people. And the second space is it's the same building, but you have many more people. And so what Bernard Sumi would argue is that these are different architectural spaces, because architecture is about the time and the people in it. Just for your information, this is the School of Architecture and Urbanism at the University of Sao Paulo. The next way we're going to look at architecture is as the expression of human values. And this is what Norman Foster imagines architecture to be. And he said, in the European, architecture is an expression of values. It's the way we build and is a reflection of the way we live. Okay. So if we look at this photo of London, we can see the new and the old, and we can see the values of society in this architectural skyline. How have times changed over the centuries, and how is this reflected in the architecture of a city? Those are the questions that Norman Foster is encouraging us to think about. And if we look a little bit more at perhaps some historical artifacts, some of you might notice that this is the inside of the Colosseum. And does this show what the Romans valued in their lives? Did they value drama and excitement? And what was the culture at the time? And we can even infer from this architecture the class and privilege in society. I mean, there is certainly a hierarchy, not only in the physical architecture, but also in the Roman society. And we can infer that from the architecture of the Colosseum. The next way I want to present architecture is as a political act. And this is Peter Eisenman talking about architecture as a political act. And one of his most famous works is the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin, Germany, ideated in 1999 by Peter Eisenman. It consists of many blocks of concrete. And this really shows that architecture can be powerful. It doesn't have to be fully functional, but it is a powerful message to people to remind them of the historic past. But architecture can also be a political act in the sense that it creates drama and conflict. For instance, the Great Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia began construction in 2010s, and its construction has caused political unrest and trouble down the course of the Nile. So this dam is located on the River Nile, it's located upstream, and countries like Egypt, located further downstream, are not very happy with this decision to build this architecture because it affects their water. So in this way, we can see that architecture acts as a political act for countries to dominate power over others. So that's another way you can think about architecture. Bjarke-Ingels might argue that architecture is a manifest of society. And here's a quote from Arc Daily: "Architecture is the art and science of making sure that our cities and buildings actually fit with the way we want to live our lives. The process of manifesting our society into our physical world." And here is Superkillen in Copenhagen, and it is a literal manifestation of the societal actions written into the architecture of the park. So it's a park, and you can see the bike lines are physically drawn out on the pavement. So it's a manifest of society in that way. But architecture can be also more than just buildings. For instance, Serpentine Pavilion in London, this is Sue Fujimoto's installation. And well, it's not exactly a building, but it is still architecture, and it still evokes emotions and creates questions about society. So maybe this is another way of thinking about architecture, not just functionally as places to live in. Another example is Nasir Ingles's Creative Disobedience and Disobeying the Static at Somerset House. This is an engineering marvel as much as it is an architectural marvel. It invites the users to walk through and to experience a moving sensation, a moving space around them as they walk through. So the space is shaped by their actions. So architecture is not just static, it is also momentary, transient. So in conclusion, architecture is not just a place to live in, but it is the interdisciplinary study of humanity and its habitual environment.